Welcome to Limitless Treasures channel. This tutorial will show you how to make a quick, easy hand-sewn pumpkin. Let's get started. What you're going to need for this project: you're going to need some fabric. I've got some cotton fabric here, but you could use any fabric actually. Aldi and Lidl often has sort of bundles of fat quarter fabric, and those would work perfectly. You could use an old shirt. So any fabric that you would like to make the pumpkin out that you like. Some polyester stuffing. You'll need a needle, white thread, scissors, embroidery cotton, but it's not necessary for the embroidery cotton. You can use the white cotton instead in that step. A hot glue gun. You can also use cold glue if you don't have a hot glue gun. Bits of green felt, some bits of brown felt, and then to make the pumpkin you're going to need a circle. So the easiest way to make a circle is either to use like a dinner plate or a side plate or a bowl, depending on what size of pumpkin you want to make. Your first step is going to be to decide what size pumpkin you want to make. A dinner plate is going to give you a pumpkin about this size, and a bowl is going to give you a slightly smaller pumpkin. Once you've decided what size pumpkin you're going to do, I'm going to do this a large pumpkin. Is you're going to take your material, and what you want to do is you want to open it out, and the material has a right side, so you can see the design very clearly, or it has a wrong side, which is a slightly faded side. So I want to work on the wrong side for the moment. Right, you're going to put your fabric down. You're going to now I often will try and get my plate to the edges of my material, so I'm not wasting any material. And what you're going to do is you're going to trace with a pencil all the way around your plate. And if you take your plates away, I have got a very faint mark of a circle. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to cut out my circle using some sharp scissors. So there I have my circle. Step 2 is to sew a running stitch all the way around the edge of the pumpkin. And to do that, you're going to thread your needle with some white thread, making sure that you've pulled it through double, so that you've got 2 strands of thread going all the way, so the 2 will meet all the way to the end. Then you're going to start, and I usually use a stay stitch, which is all you're going to do is you're going to do in and out. Don't pull, leave a little tail at the end, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go back over the same stitches again. Do that a couple of times so the thread is nice and secure. Because this running stitch is eventually going to be what you're going to use to gather up all the fabric of the circle for the pumpkin stitch. So running stitch, you're going to put your needle in a little bit further, bring it out and in and an out and an in and out, and you are going to go all the way around the pumpkin doing that, around the edge of the pumpkin. Once you've finished going all the way around, all the way back to where you started your stay stitch, then what you can do is you pull very gently, and you'll see it'll start gathering up the pumpkin. You can move the fold along if you just gently move the fabric around the thread. Okay, and when this pumpkin's closed a little bit, you can start putting some stuffing into it. So just gently stuffing. The amount of stuffing that you need is going to depend on the size of pumpkin that you get. or that you're wanting to make. So put a good amount of stuffing in. Right, there we go. And I am going to pull this up. So all I'm doing is very gently just pulling on my thread, and it will gather up all the stitches. Right, some stuffing, there we go. It lets go quite easily if you don't keep the tension on the thread, so try and keep the tension on the thread as much as you can. Sometimes I find it helpful is to just hold this tight, and then with my needle we're going to do another stay stitch, which is through the folds here, and just making sure. Okay, if you get to this point, put your fingers all the way as close as you possibly can to the edge. It doesn't matter too terribly much if it goes out a little bit, because you can do another little running stitch and tighten that up. There we go. If you do and there you've got your pumpkin all ready to sew in the indentations. We are going to cover that, so don't worry too much about that hole. So step 4 is to make our leaf and our pumpkin stalk. The leaf, the simplest way is to make almost like a heart shape. As you can see, sort of round this point a little bit, and then the stalk is a rectangle out of brown felt. So let's show you how to do that. So with your scrap of green felt, all I'm going to do is I am going to fold it in half, and I am going to cut out a heart shape. And there we've got the pumpkin leaf. For my stalk, I'm going to cut out a rectangle out of brown felt. I'm going to make the rectangle about 3 or 4 centimeters wide and probably about 7 centimeters long. So if I cut, you can measure. I've got a really useful mat here, so don't be too terribly worried if it's not an absolute perfect rectangle. It'll be fine. To make the stalk, we're going to take our rectangle, and on the short side you're going to fold it over and then try and fold it very tightly over again, and you're going to just keep folding it over itself until eventually you've rolled it all the way to the end, until you've got about 1 centimeter left still sticking out. And you're going to take your hot glue gun and you are going to put a line of glue along here. Just be careful, the hot glue gun is hot, the glue is hot, so try and keep your fingers out of the way. What you could do is, if you don't have a hot glue gun, instead of this hot glue gun you could put some craft glue along there, but you'd have to hold it, and then you keep on rolling. As you can see, the glue is being squashed. That's why you don't do it right to the edge, just so that the glue has some space to sort of squash out. Doesn't matter so much. Okay, and there is one pumpkin stem and a leaf. So just put those aside to use a bit later. For this section, you're going to need your needle thread with some embroidery cotton. If you don't have any embroidery cotton, you can just use plain white thread as well. It'll work just as well. So what we're going to do is we are going to go from the bottom of the pumpkin, which is with the hole with the stuffing, and you're going to put your needle in. Now be really careful, because what you want to do is you want to push the needle all the way through the pumpkin to the middle. Just be really careful that you don't poke yourself. Okay, and you're going to pull this thread almost all the way out, but you're going to leave a tail, because this, when you're pulling the sections tight, you need something to sort of hold on to. Okay, and I'm going to loop my thread all the way around, and I'm going to go back to where I started and try as best I can is to go back up the same hole, and you can squash it and pull it through and pull it through. Now what I like to do is I like to hold on to this one and pull and go this way, and you're going to repeat that process. So in through the middle, be careful of your fingers, try to go into the middle, and down like this. What you can be doing is trying to pull it tight as you're sort of going along. So if you push this, pull this side, and then the long tail, you can start seeing the sections of the pumpkin, and you are going to sew so that you have got 8 sections when you're finished. So now that you've done all your 8 things, your last one you're going to bring to the top, and then you're going to go down into the middle so that you've got both strings on the same side. And the easiest way is to kind of pull it a little bit and then knot the two together. Okay, and there you have your pumpkin. If you want to move the sections so that they are a little bit more even, you can, but sometimes it can look quite sweet if it's got sort of some bigger pieces than others. So that is the end of step 5. So I'm going to start off, and we're going to neaten up this bottom bit of the pumpkin. So I'm going to cut off my embroidery threads, and with my felt I am going to cut out a rough circle that covers up the hole. Okay, and what we're going to do is I am just going to check that it fits. It fits great. And I am going to put some glue all the way around. Be careful, as I said, hot glue is hot. Just be careful of your fingers, and I'm going to pop it into place. So that seals up the bottom of our pumpkin. All right, and we are going to start off with, we're going to now do the stalk. So what I do is, again, I put glue into the middle of the stitches over here. Okay, and I'm going to balance the leaf very carefully just on the corner, and I'm going to take my stem and I'm going to push it into the glue, catching the leaf as well. If you have any little bits of glue, you can just get them to catch the leaf. And there we have the pumpkin. A different way to do the stalk, so we've done a felt and a leaf. A different way is to get yourself a stick and a rectangle of felt, knot the rectangle of felt over the stick, and then you can glue that into the center of your pumpkin. And another alternative would be is if you got a small stick and you knotted around a ribbon or some jute that you've got lying around, and you can also use that as an alternative to the felt stalk and leaf. An alternative bottom. If you're going to have the pumpkin sitting on a table, then you can just use a round circle, and when you sit on it on the table, no one's going to see. If you do want to hang it up and be a little bit more fancy, you could make the circle into a bit of a star shape if you wanted to. You could also have an alternative to the leaf. We just used a heart shape, and in here we've used a star shape for the leaf. What you can do is, if you don't want it sitting on the table, you can also hang them up and just add a little thread loop to be able to hang them up with. We hope you've enjoyed this pumpkin tutorial and that you make loads of pumpkins either for your own home or a gift for a friend, and that you enjoy them. And if you do make some, we'd love to see them. So if you tag us in our Instagram or Facebook, then we would love to see. Thank you for watching.